Hello, in this video we're going to discuss Yorky the Black Knight from Kent Part 8, the Crusade. Now, there was only ever one crusade, and also I'd like to point out that the castles that are in the area around Jerusalem and other places in the Middle East were never built by the Crusaders or the Romans. The Romans did build some structures, but the castles in particular and fortifications were mostly built by heaven after Noah's flood. So they were built there for a reason, for people to live in and to be protected. So that's why they were placed there. And people found them, moved into them, and lived there. And they found it was an easily defensible position, some of those castles and structures. So there was only ever one crusade. And at the time when this took place, Satan possessed Richard the Lionheart, who was never a king. He was just Richard Lionheart. The Archbishop of Canterbury in Wales, who was also a Wiccan and was possessed by Baal at the time, got Richard and the Welsh knights to go to the Holy Land to grab treasure. That's all it was about. It wasn't about attacking any particular religion or group. It was about grabbing treasure. So Richard and his party numbered 58 knights, and they rode their horses through Kent, looking for more knights to join. King George II said no one join them. Then just remember that Jesus was King George II. And then this raised alarm bells in heaven. There was a meeting because the intent of Richard and his people was a threat to the territory in the Middle East, in Jerusalem. Heaven almost sent special forces to kill Richard and his group, but they came up with a better plan involving Yorky. King George II came as well, disguised as a knight, as a warden. He was raised as a knight. His father was a bit crazy, so George too actually participated in things that knights did in battles, and he also wound up doing jousting, which is crazy. So he came as one of the Wardens, but Yorky was in charge, because Yorky was the one who came up with the plan. Richard recruited more knights in France, Belgium, Germany and Spain. So his total forces were 412,792 knights. The Wardens from Kent numbered 782, including Yorky. So the Wardens arrived in Israel first and made a pact with Saladin, who was impressed by the knights. He'd never seen such big horses and the armour before in his life. Saladin was in fact Jewish, but respected the Christian knights. There were no Muslims in the area at all. So that's the thing about this conflict with the Crusades. They weren't there to change people's religions. They were there to grab treasure, and they knew that the people that they were killing were Christian as well. Many of them were Christian. So it wasn't a holy war at all. No Muslims in the area. The only Muslims that existed back then were in Saudi Arabia. The local population was a combination of Jewish people, Christians and Coptic Christians. Saladin's forces were 400,282 horsemen from many tribes, but they're only available for 4 days. Many worried of the losses that would happen. Richard's forces were ill prepared for the desert. They didn't bring mantles, and many of them didn't bring bags or gourds of water. And so, in the first day in the desert, they lost 212,000. With Yorky, his second horse, and Mildred and his horse both carry large bags of water, and he waters his horse as well. He has a special bag for his horse. He carries a lot of water. So Richard's forces attacked 4 towns, raped, tortured and pillaged everyone in them. Saladin's forces and the Wardens of Kent greeted Richard the Lionheart in front of Jerusalem. Richard's forces were offered to leave peacefully or die. Richard the Lionheart spat on the ground at Saladin and Yorky. So a fight erupted from there, and it lasted for 4 days. None of Saladin's forces were killed. A tactic of hit and fade using lances was employed by the Wardens of Kent, dragging the fight throughout the night using dehydration to kill Richard's forces. On the 4th day, Richard and 15 knights attempted to flee in the dark at about 11 p.m, but rode into an area where the Wardens were waiting for them. So there was a circle, and they sort of a U shape, and they rode into there, and then they closed the circle, and Richard and his guys couldn't get out. And Yorky and the other knights killed all their horses, and then tortured and killed Richard's men in front of Richard. They killed Richard's horse as well. So Richard was stripped of his armour and escorted back to Wales in disgrace. Yorky and George too established a trade route with Israel that is still there to this day. Yorky also got 4 women pregnant and didn't know about it. Richard was killed in Wales by his own men, and never said, my kingdom for a horse. So he arrived there in disgrace, and the guys saw him. Just remember, it's a night, he's off his horse, soldiers killed him. That's what happened there. That's what they're like. So that's what happened with the Crusades. What people need to realise and know is that it's not an organised invasion like when you have a king. You don't have logistics support with food and water. The knights had to bring their own. Normally knights had to bring their own anyway, but it wasn't an organised movement over there. With the Wardens of Kent, it was organised. They were prepared. And so there's only ever been one crusade, not many. And so that's some of the fiction that exists in history, is people's belief that there's more than one crusade, and also of the people in the area, the region that was attacked. And what people don't know is that Wardens of Kent were there and helped defend the area. I'm the Archangel Daniel, and I'm from heaven.